Hello again, guys. Welcome to our broadcast. Welcome to our group. Here today we are welcoming my partner Marcelo in this interview with the amazing artist we already been waiting for, Andrew Huerta. So, welcome, Andrew. How is everything going, man?
Everything's good. Just tired from watching the kids, but I'm good.
That's cool. Well, it's a
Well,
pleasure to have you here, man. And well, first of all, we have some things that we like to share. So, Andrew, you can start. So,
yeah.
is the audio correctly?
Well,
Everything is good?
I can't hear you.
Can't?
Don't know what happened. The sound's not there.
we can
Okay.
hear you now, but so
Can you
everything
guys
fine
hear
now?
me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can see you and we can hear you. So is it sound
I
fine?
can't. I can't hear you.
You can't
Can you
hear
hear
me?
me? I can hear both. It's gonna get back.
Yeah, we'll get back. He's just adjusting his sound.
Okay. Yeah, right now the internet quality all over the world is kind of not good.
I don't know why.
Maybe you should
Hello.
talk with the audience a little
Hello.
bit about him. Meanwhile, he got back.
Welcome back, Andrew.
Let me jump back on. Maybe let me just jump back on again.
Okay. Okay, I don't know, my friend. Maybe you should kind of talk to the audience about what Andrew 2 do. Be the other dimension, Andrew.
Well, so I have been asking you, what should an artist do daily if he want to evolve and become better? I think he should
Oh,
grow gestures, maybe grow and adjust some
how to
stuff.
improve your art on a daily basis?
Yeah,
Well, I follow like well, you kind of met me since the beginning. What I have been doing is start establish a routine, daily routine of study, and I started to practice at least 3 hours per day in the beginning, and I start to keep that at least 3 times per week, just studying, not
okay,
working,
well,
just basically practicing, and yeah, that is kind of my routine, kind of ritual. Every time that I want to level up, I establish like, okay, I need to establish uh, a bunch of time during the week just to focus in anatomy or a book that I want to study to get the next level achieved. That's what I did in the last 6 months, and I see a little bit improvement in my stuff. So yeah,
okay. So, Andrew, do you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well,
perfect.
we are going to ask you the first question, which is always fun to our guests. Well, here, tell us about your secret origins.
Um. Okay. Well, how far do you want to go back? Just when did I start? When did I start drawing, or when I started
Yeah,
taking it seriously?
yeah. I
Everything
think
from
when you start, yeah.
did did a spider bite you? Did you fall from Krypton? What?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. Well, I've always been into drawing. Like, I grew up in the '80s when um there was a bunch of cartoons. Like Ninja Turtles, uh, X-Men, He-Man, Thundercats, Voltron, all that stuff was on TV. So I was like bombarded with like just crazy styles and and worlds. So I just wanted to copy what I was seeing. So I was just drawing Ninja Turtles, Batman, maybe like around three. I would like doodle,
Wow.
and then I just kept going, and and growing up, I was back then there was a lot of graffiti. I grew up in L.A., East L.A. area, so back then there was a lot of graffiti, a lot of art on the walls, murals, um, and then there was I discovered comic book shops, or no, not comic book shops. I would see comic books at the market because back then comic books were all over the place. They were at 7-Eleven, the market, Toys R Us. They were all over the place. So no matter where you went, there was a comic book. So I would look at these comic books, and then finally, I'm trying to think if it was like the X-Men or Wolverine issue that got me like kind of hooked on it. And then once I discovered that stuff, I was like, oh man, like I want to draw like this. So I remember buying those issues, and I would just copy them, and then yeah, and that's it, man. Just video games too, video game art like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, all that art. Uh, I was attracted to it. Anime, I was attracted to it. So I was just getting it from all directions, and I wanted to. I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to draw for a living. So I just kept going and going, and next thing you know, I can draw really good. So
Mm.
That's
Well,
so
that's
cool,
a
man. So when so very young, you was already decided to be a comic book artist.
um,
I have that vision.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I kind of did want to be a comic book artist, but I didn't know how it worked.
I see.
I didn't know how you got paid. I didn't even know how you apply to it. I didn't know anything because back then there's no internet. So
Yeah.
you just kind of you just draw and do stuff, and then I guess go to conventions. When comic conventions started, when I started going to comic conventions, is when I started realizing that that's where I could probably get work because you go with your portfolio and they look at it and they tell you what you need to
Hmm.
work on, and if they like your stuff, they'll give you a business card. So that's kind of how it slowly started to head in that direction. But and then by the time I got older, the internet came around. So I found art forums like comic book forums, Pencil Jack,
Mm.
Artzilla, DeviantArt, um, all these old forums that are pretty much dated or have been shut down. But at the time, they were like premier comic
Big,
book
yeah.
art forums. Like everybody was on there. Robert Kirkman, Rob Liefeld, uh, all these pros were on there. So it was like, wow. Like I was posting art with all the other professionals, and I sucked. So seeing other people's work, I would just keep posting more and more, and then that's how I got better.
mm, it's amazing journey, Joe. Well, I think next question is up to you, Marcelo.
Yes. So every artist has what we call here in the show your weapons of choice. So it refers like what kind of materials do you prefer like an artist? Includes traditional, digital, any kind of the materials that you like to work with.
Well, traditionally, I like pencil, paper, and ink. That's it. And digitally, I like to use the iPad Pro with
Mm.
the Apple Pencil. That's it.
Yeah, I used to that thing too. It's very convenient, very fast to work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game changer because most people would just use it for doodles, but I've learned to use it to make finish. Like you can literally do a whole comic book page on the
Yeah.
iPad
Hmm.
Pro, and you can do
That's what I do.
finished
Mhm.
illustrations for like, yeah, yeah.
So you enjoy doing more pencils traditionally than making them digitally, right?
I prefer traditional. Yeah,
Well, I love that too. Well, what's your secret identity?
my secret identity.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but
Can you
we
hear
are
me?
waiting for your answer. Tell us about your secret
Oh
identity.
no, but I'm like, what do you mean by that? What's that? What is that? Like, if I have, I don't get it. I don't get the question.
If you have a secret hobby, if you
Oh, do
want
you
to
have
do
like a,
an art,
for
Um,
example, do you have a secret hobby? For example, in my case, I play guitar, which is something that I really enjoy, and I sing. And it's completely not related with comics because, but it's
okay.
also artistic. So, do you have any kind of hobby complementary to
My
your art?
well, I actually, my closest, actually, I do. I kind of do have a secret identity. My secret identity is I used to write graffiti. I used to do graffiti, and when you do graffiti,
Mm.
because it's illegal, you have to do it under a different name. Like you have to write under a different identity because if you use your real name, you can get arrested. So so every graffiti writer has to come up with his own name, basically like a superhero name or some kind of just name. Um,
Nah,
so my name was I used to write No More, NOMOR. So that would be my secret identity when I used to do graffiti was No More.
that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
Well, the next
I used to
question.
have a friend that did graffiti and got in problems when we were teens. Now he's a colorist in marble. He made the jump to do like that.
Yeah, it's a hard lifestyle, so it's not. I mean, you have to be really, really good. You have to be very sneaky, and your work has to be good enough to get to the point where, like, when museums and when art collectors want to start getting your work, that's when you can start making money off of it. But to make it to that point and get away and to stay out of jail, that's it's very hard. Very hard.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Okay. Do I make the next question?
yeah, you make the next question.
Okay. So
Sorry if
you're
there's
like
a
an
sorry if
artist.
there's a little there's a
What
little lag, so
challenges
I'm just
have
letting you know.
can you, can you
No, there's just a little there's a little lag with the sound me answering the question, so I'm just letting you guys know if I'm just sitting here, it's because I'm waiting to hear the question.
Well, we are fine.
I see. Okay.
So we're going to ask you
Okay. So the next question is what challenges have you faced like an artist um, in the beginning or currently? And how you kind of overcome them, those challenges?
Um, the biggest challenge, well, each industry or each profession has its own challenges, but in comic books, the biggest challenge was uh, at first it was trying to find my own style, but then once I found my own style, um, a lot of companies and editors didn't really like my style, so I would still get work every now and then. Nothing crazy, nothing big. Um, so when I needed more work, I would have to contact these editors or whatever, show people my work, but they would keep saying, if you want to get more work on books, you have to change your style. They kept telling me to do something to become or to draw a certain way, and I didn't like that. So what ended up happening was how I got around this hurdle was I basically like retired from comic books, you know, and I didn't want to sacrifice who I was and my style just because some inexperienced editors didn't know what to do with me. So I just did my own book. I started my own campaign, Sovereign, and it got funded, and I'm working on it right now. But with me being technically being out of the comic book industry, because I'm not going to change who I am to fit in with them. I basically left comic books, and I'm now entering I'm trying to get more into concept art, movies, video games, and do stuff like that, because at least with that stuff, I get paid a lot better, and it's more freedom, and it's just it's run the whole entertainment, like video game and movie industry, is more run by more experienced professional creators and people in general. So I basically left comic books when it wasn't working with me to another career.
Well, I do remember, and I even faced a couple of issues what you just mentioned right now, that editors require a copy paste style from the one they got in their companies. And I don't want to do. I don't want to be a copy artist. I don't want to be following same direction. If I don't draw what I love, so how I'm going to be satisfied? If I want to an artist or live from my art, so I will have to stick to my art style, maybe improve it, upgrade it, but stick to my idea, stick to my mind, stick to my mindset as an artist, and don't change it. So I totally agree with what you just said.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm gonna wait, I think I can hear myself. I don't know who has their thing on, but um, if I can, if someone's asking me to be a copycat or some kind of clone of an artist, I'm just gonna. You got to pay me a lot of money. You know,
Mm,
you know. If I'm not gonna be happy working on something, then pay me.
mm,
And but the problem is most comic book jobs or companies don't pay well. So
mm.
I don't see the point in fighting over it or stressing over it and all these things. So it's like I'm just gonna go somewhere that pays very well for my effort, for my work, and that's why I see the trade-off.
Well, we are going to ask the next question, which is, what type of superhero or villain are you?
What type of superhero? Hmm. Um, I like. Do you guys follow My Hero Academia?
Yeah.
I like Endeavor.
Ah, it's a
Yeah,
Well,
he's badass. I like him.
that's cool.
well, the next question is your question, Marcel?
Okay, so um, now we're gonna move to the a little bit more kind of technical about
Mhm.
your art. So, how you, like an artist, come up with social standing urban while art style? What is your inspiration? And do you have maybe a specific ritual that you start to develop this?
Um, well, a lot of it comes from anime. A lot of it comes from graffiti and music. So originally, I was very obsessed. Well, I still am. I'm still obsessed. But back in the day, I was more obsessed with I forgot his name. I think his name was like Yutuki Manua or something. Yutaka Manua.
Mhm.
Or in Masami Obari. Those guys. Masami Obari worked on Techno Man. He worked on Go Kaiser, the Fatal Fury anime OVA,
Ah, I see.
a few other a few other dope uh, movies, and then the other one worked on Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, uh, Highlander, um, the Matrix. I think the Animatrix, yeah,
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
So all those guys, I just love their style. Like I was like, man, they draw so good, and it was just so different. It wasn't regular anime. It wasn't. It's similar to like Western aesthetics, but it's better than Western aesthetics. Um, so they just had the best of both worlds, and I was drawing like that. I was trying to be like them, and then I came to my senses, to the conclusion that I was like, what's um what's the point of drawing like someone else? I want to be my own person. So I did my best and I copied them so much. And then there was a period in my life where I got deep into graffiti, and I just stopped drawing normal comic book anime stuff, and I was just doing graffiti, tagging, painting, tagging, stickers. That's all I did was just write. I wrote no more, over and over again in my sketchbooks. I just kept doing it. You write different styles, but they're called throw ups, bubble letters, all this different stuff. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And then by the time I was done with graffiti, and I wanted to jump back into comics or art in general, I I had like this like this way of moving my hand from the graffiti that when I was drawing, I wanted to apply to it to my figures. So in graffiti, you have to be like fast, and you have to do these type of motions. But in
Uh-huh.
comic art or in just drawing in general, you have to just draw slow with whatever. But when I went back to drawing characters, I started doing more like fast motions, lines, angles. I started pushing the anatomy more. Like I made him bigger. So I took some of that from the anime that I liked with my graffiti, and I merged it. And then when you listen to music while you draw, like hip hop music or any kind of music that gets you going, it almost
Yeah.
like it puts like more energy into your work, because they're like it's just movement, it's just beat. So and then all those things combined, I just came up with how I draw, my style.
Well,
That's
that's
cool.
very impressive, man.
Thank you. A
Well,
lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't um, like it, but then there's a lot of other people who do understand it and who do like it. So it's like you just gotta go with what you feel, and whoever comes to you, that's your base, that's your audience. Like if what sucks is like you want these people to like your work, but they don't like what you're doing. At the same time, you got these people over here that you weren't intending to attract, but they love your work. You know, these people love my work. So
Yeah.
you'll see how your followers or your fans will grow naturally just based off of your work, and the type of also the type of work you get is based off of how you draw. Like for instance, I get a lot of work based on graffiti or street stuff. Like, hey, we need something that's real raw and street. So people hit me up, companies hit me up. So it's like it just depends on what you draw. You know, if you draw women, then you're gonna get hit up to draw women all the time. If you do this, you're gonna get hit up. So it's like just embrace who you are and just keep growing as the artist you want to be. You know.
I see.
art does differently, comes in different tastes. So it's up to everyone to like or hate. So we can't be agreeing on the same art piece if we like it or hate it. Maybe
Yeah.
me and Marcelo like a single piece, while we hate the others, while me and Andrew like a single piece and hate the other. So it's not like there is a rule to an art. It's just a taste. So
There are. There's the one thing a lot of people seem to um, don't realize is that art has no rules.
yeah,
Colleges, companies, these places have rules.
Yeah.
But when you're creating yourself as an artist and when you're making art, there are no rules. And when you get to a certain point and when you've developed a style or an identity with your work, these companies, even whatever places, will will come to appreciate your identity, your artwork. So even though these schools don't like to teach you anime or don't like to teach you graffiti or don't like to teach you certain things. It's very academic. It's very strict. They want traditional. They want all these different things. But if they see your work has a foundation, a strong foundation, and you've developed something interesting, they're going to bring you in, or they're going to talk about you, or they're going to hire you because you're unique. Like that's something you can't teach anywhere else. You have to figure that out. And a lot of people are trying to do that. A lot of people are trying to figure it out. And it's you just have to, you basically have to live like a kind of unique life, live a different life, and those experiences will help developing your unique style.
Well, this is fitting our next question. How can an artist start seeing an art style?
How can an artist find an art
Start,
style?
start seeking a specific art style. If an inspiring artist just came up with copying other artists' work, an personal art style. So how can he start thinking? What's the question he should ask to himself? Which path he should follow to seek his style and get his own art style?
Hmm. Um, let's see here. It's you can look at it. Oh, I fell. You can look at it like like if you want to work out, like if you want a bigger chest or bigger arms. If you want that chest, you have to do bench press. If you want the arms, you got to do curls. Um, so let's say you want to have a style that's very about sexy women, or if you want to, that's what you want to do. You want to draw beautiful women, or maybe very curvaceous, or just different type of women. So what you got to do is you got to just look at women like all the time, and you got to find artists that draw women in different ways, and then you have to even maybe look at cartoons that draw women in different ways, and then look at statues of women. Like you have to just, and then if and then it happens subconsciously. Like it's like automatic. Like if you look at all these things and you look enough and you practice enough and you really take from everything you're looking at, your women are going to look different. They're just going to look unique because not only are you looking at all these things, but it's being filtered through your head, through your brain. And that's what creates that unique style. So when I looked at anime and graffiti, and then it's filtered through my brain, you get my style. And it's like if you look at anime and graffiti and it's filtered through your brain, you're gonna get your style. So I would just tell artists um, just look at what you want to do and just soak it up, marinate in it, and just think about it, and then have different opinions, have different ideas. Like, oh, what if I drew the leg this way, or what if I drew her eyeball this way, or what if I drew hips this big or this small? Like, you have to mess around with it, and then you'll eventually stick with something with what you like. And then the more you do it, the better you get at it, and then suddenly it's like your style. You just mastered your style.
Well,
I like it. I like it.
is to you, Marcelo.
Okay, so the next question is, how can you build your own imagination to create original characters? As you do, like your own style. You already mentioned how you create your own style. So how you create original characters? Do you have similar process?
Yeah. Creating characters is tough because anyone can create a character, but how many people can create a good looking character or a really iconic character, and that's where it gets really tricky. Oh man, I guess just for example, like I created Sovereign, my creator-owned character. I created him in like 2001, and I had these loose ideas that I wanted him to be based off of a bullfighter, the Spanish bullfighters.
Mhm.
I forgot what they're called, but and I don't know. Like, I like the design of the uniform or the outfit, but I obviously had to alter it to make it look more like a superhero. Um, and then over time, I didn't know what to do with him because I didn't know much about Sovereign. I just created a guy who was really strong, Superman type, and he had this look. And then eventually, I came to the conclusion that I wanted him to be like an elemental, like Captain Planet, or a weapon from Final Fantasy VII, something that the Earth created. So once I figured out what he was, that he was basically a god that was created by the Earth, by the planet, and he had elemental abilities, and he was kind of like a Titan in a way. Um, Instead of giving him clothes, I gave him this armor. Like his skin is made out of like rock armor, and instead of wearing boots, he's just barefoot because a god, an Earth Titan or an Earth god wouldn't wear shoes; they'd just be barefoot. Um,
It's cool.
and and then I gave him a fighting ability or a fighting style where his fighting style is more like Muay Thai. So he uses elbows and knees and kicks and fists. So I gave him spikes on his knuckles. I gave him spikes on his elbow. I gave him big old spikes on his knees and spikes on his ankles. So when he kicks and hits people, it's gonna just do maximum damage. So all these things that I'm like, okay, Earth Titan does Muay Thai type of fighting, this, that, this, and I just made those designs functional. I made it all make sense, and that's how I came up with his finished look. Um, so it's not like when you design something you can just come out with it. You basically have to. It's like you're cooking, and you have to slowly just put other things in there. Put in another ingredient, another ingredient. Doesn't taste good. Do something else. Take it out. All these different things, and then hopefully at the end you come up with something that looks fresh. That doesn't look like generic or a ripoff, but unique and interesting.
Do-
That's very cool.
Yeah, do you follow this rule when you are redesigning characters already created, such as Batman, Spider-Man? I just noticed that you
Mm,
were talking about Spider-Man. It's not the usual Spider-Man we see in the books, but when you see Spider-Man like this, wow, I like this. How this anatomy buggish freak animated freak. So how can
yeah.
you get apply the series you just said right now to character already created such as Spider-Man?
Um, when it comes to like other characters that are already established, like Spider-Man, um, the problem with a lot of artists in general is, and maybe I'm guilty of this too, I don't know, but a lot of artists in general um, have too much ego, and when an artist has too much ego, instead of listening to the character or like paying attention to what the character is, they think, oh, this is my Spider-Man. This is my Superman. This is my Batman. But I don't like to say that. To me, when I draw a character, that is Batman. That is Superman. I don't want to put me into the character, right? Like I've seen artists that love wearing um whatever. They like wearing ponytails. And then when they draw characters, they like to give the characters ponytails. And it's like, are you really drawing the character, or you're just doing what you want to do? See, I'm the
Yes.
opposite. I don't. So Spider-Man to me was bitten by a spider. He's supposed to be super like athletic, super agile, like what is it, Cirque du Soleil, like just freakish poses. Like he should be like that. That's not what I want. I'm not into Spider-Man that much, but that's who he is. That's his abilities. And the same with I'll use Batman. Like a lot of artists like to put Batman in tights, like to put him in like underwear, like traditional superhero stuff. But let's think about it. Batman, like if Batman were real, he ain't gonna wear underwear, he ain't gonna wear tights, he ain't gonna wear that stuff. So when I draw Batman, I always give him armor. I always give him like almost like the movies, but a little more comic booky. So I'm always thinking of what the character is, who they are, what their abilities are, and I just make sure it's faithful to them, because I want them to show 100%.
Yeah, listening to the character is something that I like to do also. When I like to write, so I kind of submerge myself in the character and then let the story do their own thing, and I just try to not be in the way. I think it's similar. Yeah, very cool.
And that's the way. And if you're working with a Spider-Man, Batman, whoever, every artist and writer should be thinking that way. They should be leave the ego at home, leave the ego at the door, and your job is to tell the stories of these characters, not what you think. Like we got like years and years of comic books telling us who these people are. I don't need to know what you think of Wolverine. Just draw the Wolverine that everybody knows. I don't want to see a Wolverine that's like 7 feet tall, skinny, whatever. He needs to be short. He needs to be hairy, ugly, whatever. Just that's the way it should be. So that's how I treat characters when I work on established characters, and I like it when other creators do that too.
Well, when you do know that you are working on a boring script or a boring comic scene, how do you give that scene or book the Andrew Huerta taste, the Andrew Huerta recipe?
Mm. One way to make something a little more interesting is camera angles. So even if there's a talking scene of just people sitting down talking, you can still make it interesting if you make the camera angles dynamic. If you just move the camera wherever you want it, make it dramatic. Even the lighting, you can add some shadows to it. That's really the only way you can make boring scenes interesting, is just by moving the camera, dramatic lighting, even exaggerating certain acting, and that's it.
I see. Do we have the other question?
The next question is yours.
Okay. The future of the comic book industry is the indie, independent companies, I refer. Even the ones that work for such companies such like DC or Marvel say so. So why is that, and what is your thoughts about this matter? Do you think that the independent companies are the future? What are your approach about this?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think people like Todd McFarlane, people like Robert Kirkman, people like Rob Liefeld, people like who else is big? Kevin Eastman, the guys that created Ninja Turtles.
Kevin Eastman.
All these guys are creator owned. They've been telling people over and over again, do not work for corporate comic books. Do your own characters. And they're right, because the reason is that when you create really cool characters for other companies, you don't own them. They own them. And and when they owe them, they don't really pay the artist or the writer or the creator that created them. They don't pay them well. They don't. You do get royalties, but it's not like what people think. So there's just more benefits from going your own way, starting your own comic book characters books, and crowdfunding them. And if they get funded, then you own everything. Everything's yours, 100%. You can do whatever you want. You can tell any story you want. And in this time right now in 2020, there is more censorship than ever before. So and the only people that are really pushing storytelling right now are the Japanese. And that's why manga is really beating up American comic books. But the only way to compete with manga, or to even come back with books that are equal, is to do your own comic book and tell your own story without an editor or a company telling you can't write that, you can't do this. Oh, this action is too intense. Oh, this action is too gory. Oh, this and that. So you have that part of a mainstream comics that's not that isn't fun. It's closed-minded, and yeah, the future is doing your own work. And like I said, if it takes off, if you're a Robert Kirkman and you make a Walking Dead, you're a millionaire. You just became a millionaire. And now Robert Kirkman has he has his own studio. He's making cartoons. He's working on a movie. He has a TV show. Like, this dude is he blew up. He blew up, and that's the dream that's waiting for every creator own for every creator that does creator own. That dream is waiting for you. Whether we'll get that dream, I don't know. But you won't know until you try, until you actually do your own characters, your own comic books, get them funded, get them out there, and just hopefully Hollywood or whoever sees it, likes it, and then it takes off from there.
100% agree. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, is there tips and tricks you would like to share with our audience?
Tips and tricks. Okay. It's interesting. It's weird. It depends on the type of. Is this a comic book audience, right? This is mostly comic book people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
book community, concept artist community. As such, you are a creator to such amazing character design. So you can share any tips and tricks, maybe to the daily life routine, so they can adjust it maybe to their style, maybe to their drawings, to their mindset. It's up to you to say any tips and tricks.
Okay. Well, my tips would be, if you really want to be a better artist and really good, I would recommend looking at all kinds of things. Don't just look at comic book art. Don't just look at American cartoons. Look at anime. Look at abstract art. Look at graffiti. Look at video game art. Look at movies. Look at everything. Because the best artists in our history and in the industries in general are usually the guys that are thinking outside of the box. A lot of companies will push you to draw a certain way. A lot of companies, not just comic book companies, all types. But the guys who are on top, for some reason, are the ones who think outside the box, who are like, we do it our way, and that's what everybody loves. So that's one way to grow better, to become a better artist. It's just to look at other stuff, think outside the box. Another thing too, I want to talk about money. Money is important because in comic books, I think, this may not be accurate, but I think comic books may be the least, maybe the lowest paying artist in all of the entertainment industries. because I know people that work in video games make good money. People that make
Mhm.
work in movies make decent money. People that work even in the statue or gaming communities make money. But the people who work in comic books, you they're not making a lot of money. Um, and there's no reason, and there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. If we all have to, well, not me, I'm not so much
I
working in
think.
comic books, but like, go,
Oh, sorry. I think that the reason is
no,
actually you already mentioned it because it happened to me. Um, Most of my colleagues they dream about working in big companies like DC, IDW, and all this
yeah,
great name. But what they don't realize is that when you enter to big companies, you become like a factory. So you just become someone who is working in a product of someone else they created, and you have to kind of be productive, and you just get paid for the service of using your hands. But you are not putting any more artistic energy into that because these characters were creators in the 50s. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, and all these great artists from there. And that's why right now the industry is pulling this creativity of great artists. They were brave enough to see what is happening and say, I'm gonna be the one that create my own stories. But people nowadays they don't see that. They don't see they can also be the next Jack Kirby or the next Stan Lee or the next Todd McFarlane, and you only have to be brave enough to believe in yourself and to create your own characters and write and create your own style and be brave. And since we already seeing that everything is about Marvel or superheroes trends for almost 15 years, now people that are brave, like the creator of Walking Dead, like Game of Thrones, there are guys that just were brave, and were able to
mm,
create their own things, and that is so contrasting to what is happening right now in the industry. They become super successful because it's like finally something new. But the formula for success, I think, is just to believe in yourself and create something. Like, for example, in your art, that you connect with your graffiti, with your experience in life, your emotions. You put emotion in every kind of line that you put. It's building with emotion. It feels strong. It feels fluid. It feels with music, right? And this is thing that maybe an artist even in Marvel or signing with big company doesn't have because it's not even his character. And even that you are drawing fan art or you're doing these characters too, you are putting something from your soul in artists. And I think that is what is needed in the industry. That's the way I see it. I don't know
mm-hmm,
what you think.
right. Yeah, it's well, there's a couple things with that too when I talk about the money, because the reason why, like, so for instance, another reason why I left comic books, or I'm leaving comics or left it behind, is because it doesn't pay well. So why am I gonna draw so good? I draw, I'm not trying to be like, uh, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or trying to be cocky or anything, but I probably draw better than 80% of the artists in the industry, maybe higher. I don't know. I draw better than most, um, but I'm not gonna work my ass off, spend so many hours, blood, sweat, and tears, just to get paid a couple $100, whatever it is, a couple $100 a page, maybe $500 covers. That's not a lot. Like, for instance, a cover, the range from, like, 500, 400, like cover work, cover art, and these are the big publishers. But if you work for a video game company or some kind of other bigger company, whether it be card games, video games, whatever, you can do a cool little illustration cover for over $1,000. So what's happening is, you have a lot of guys like me, a lot of good guys they left comic books, and they're now working on God of War. They're now working on the Marvel movies. They're now working on cartoons, storyboards. Like, all the best guys you can think of have left. And there's a reason why you don't see certain artists anymore. It's not because they stopped drawing. it's because they probably got better gigs. So when it comes to the money thing, if you're really good, in my opinion, comic books doesn't deserve you. If you're like a really good artist and you want to get paid, comic books doesn't deserve you. Now, if you wanna, if you really love these characters like Spider-Man, Batman, and you're still kind of learning how to draw, or you're still at this certain range level, then go for it. Make comic books, do the covers, apply, hustle, hustle, hustle. Like basically build up your portfolio, build up your skill set. But don't think of comic books as, unless you become a superstar, which is just harder than ever before. Like it's harder now than before. Before you had all kinds of superstars. Now there's like one or two around, and but what I'm saying is, when you want to work in comic books, use that as a path. Like you own your skills there, get really good, and then go somewhere where you're gonna get paid for what you're actually doing, for what you're actually putting in work, because there's no reason to struggle.
Yeah, wait, I see. Are you there, Andrew, or
The process.
I think we lost him?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is very interesting what he was saying. Right now, he's gonna get back. Maybe send him a message. I completely agree.
Yeah, it's I agree and disagree at the same time. It's shocking to me to know that I got no future, man.
We're gonna die. No, I don't think. I can agree 50-50. Depends on what you want in your own goals, right? In life. If you want to be, right now you're watching this video and you are about to commit suicide, stop. No, no, no. I think the thing that we have to focus, and actually is what Andrew Huerta is saying, is that do not follow the white rabbit of the big companies. Listen your own thing. Follow your own heart, because actually that is what are gonna let even big companies identify you like a good artist. This happened with Todd McFarlane when he was, practicing Spider-Man in the middle of the night, working in McDonald's, and he just I wanted to be cool. This is what he mentions in his videos, and that idea was in Marvel when he was drawing Spider-Man. Actually, the bosses say you are doing something that we never see before, because it was him. And after it was so great, it was so authentic, then he builds his own company and he repeats the formula. So I think that is the message. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you are saying the same thing I even think about. I totally agree with what Andrew said, with keeping in mind that Kickstarter and Indiegogo really helps you to establish your ideas and maybe start making your own small company. So everything is possible. You can start your making your own characters, making your own original universe without sticking your head to this
Yeah.
routinely drawing, say, the same Spider-Man again and again and again and again,
And
without thinking anything new about even making his eyes more exaggerated, like big ones, maybe just
and
like
I think,
so.
and I completely agree. I think that, just to end the subject, and welcome back, Andrew, is
And
I think that the industry in gaming and animation studios is so high paid because there's more new stories to be
yeah,
told.
yeah,
Animation studios hire writers how to write an interesting arc and archetypes and characters for their games. So it's in a certain way the next step of the comic book. Most of the comic books right now are the same, maybe 60 or 40 characters since the 50s. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and it's just recycling. And but now games, I just recently I'm playing right now a video game is called Cloudpunk, which is cyberpunk sci-fi kind of game, which is my favorite genre. And I'm playing it, and the story is so amazing. And it's like a comic book. It's like a movie. And that's why I think right now artists which are working in this industry, in gaming, are getting paid because I'm creating new stories and creating new characters, which is right now a little bit of not happening too much in comic books. So I think we can still make it in comic books, but you have to make creative stuff, I think, right? And if not, well, move to games and etc.
The other reason, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. The other reason video game companies and let me see. The other reason video game companies and movies also pay more is because they make more money. They make way more money. And comic books don't really sell like they used to. So it's hard to pay an artist more than, you know, a certain amount of money, because it's like, and I think that's why it's more of a numbers game. Like that's why artists and companies in general have to sell a comic book every month. Like do a comic book every month, so that way even though you're not getting paid a lot, you're getting paid multiple times at a certain amount, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to like movies and video games, you just do your job, you do your assignment, and that's it. And once the game's over, you wait, you chill, play some video games or go on vacation, and then you get the next job, and then you do that one, you get paid bank, and you do it again. You take a vacation, you chill. So the schedule is like way. Basically, comic books is the hardest. This is crazy. Comic books is the hardest. I think it's the hardest job out of all the entertainment jobs, but it's the least paying one. And
I think
we really agree about
so that.
So I'm going to ask you another sub question to this one. So if you really want to get rich from drawing comics, you should really start thinking about Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I was talking to Marcelo about this matter. So what's your take on this?
Sorry, can you repeat that? It was breaking up.
You can't hear it?
No, just repeat what you said.
Well, if you want to get rich from drawing comics, you should start creating your own project on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. This is the only way that will get you noticed and will get you rich from drawing the thing you love if you are loving comics only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you can build a decent audience, if you can, like, let's say you have a big following on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube, and you can bring them over to your Kickstarter or your Indiegogo, then yeah, you can make decent money. You can make decent money doing comic books, but it's yeah, it's a lot of work. It's you have to do like 5 different jobs. You know, you have to be a promoter. You have to learn how to sell. You have to get a marketing, good talker. All these things that an artist needs to do just to make ends meet. While other positions, you don't have to do anything. You just get an email, hey, draw this, and then you do draw it, and then you get paid, and that's it. So it's like it's a little more of a grind on the comic book side. But if you love comic books, then do it. I just want to let people know, you don't have to struggle and you don't have to suffer. If you feel like you're not making enough money, then try another industry, try another or angle or something. You know what I mean? Just there's no reason to struggle. The whole struggling in comic books, it's so normal now. It's like it's expected. Like, oh, you're supposed to struggle. Like, no. If I want to join an industry, why should I struggle? That's the whole point of going to school, going to college, then joining Marvel at DC. I shouldn't be struggling still when I'm at Marvel and DC. That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Well, I think it's true, but also I think that the comic book, if you are smart enough, and if you are brave enough, if you have vision of what you want to do, you can follow always the path of being a kind of entrepreneur, like myself in a certain way. And so
Yep.
I combine three activities in my case, which my dream is always since I was 14 to be a comic book artist. And I work with what I have. So I start to make copies, and I start to sell it in my classroom. And when I was in my 20s, I become an illustrator, and I start to be like freelance. Then I get hired by a company, but like you mentioned, it was not enough money, but it gave me the experience and the reputation to a comic book artist, which I wanted. And I start to move into animation to do storyboards. So I start to use animation, writing, and storyboards in comic books, and I start to balance, and that start to give me the context, and now I even draw better than before because also interacting with those artists helped me so much. But it's a kind of like entrepreneur in a certain way, and a lot of artists don't have the vision to see a career like that. They just want to kind of draw, and they don't take it serious like a business. So if you want to make it, you really have to take it like it's a business, and you have to read books about business. I read books about how to make money, how to even be more productive, psychology, philosophy, all these kind of things. They're not even related with comic books, but they help me to present myself, even that I never study college, to present with an art director, and how to speak, and how to express my creativity in a professional manner, so they take me serious. And that reflects in my income. No, like they say, the more you learn, the more you earn. And most artists right now, they don't want to do that path. So that's why we have 80% of artists, they don't follow that. So I think that is also another tip.
No, you're right. That's good. That's good advice. That's good. Like basically learn business. Like, yeah, that's another good thing that you bring up.
Yeah.
Artists,
exactly.
beginner artists, learn business.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't if a company wants to, let's say you turn in some character designs, and a company says, hey, we need you to do some more, or no, fix these ones, keep doing some more changes. Be like, okay, then pay me.
Exactly.
Pay me for these extra designs.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't feel like it's a like you owe them anything. Like, oh, they're giving me a shot, they're giving me a chance, so I'm just gonna let them tell me what to do. Like, nah, man. Like, artists in all industries, and this can happen any minute, dude. If comic artists really wanted to, they could all strike. All comic artists could stop drawing, and it would force Marvel, DC, IDW, it would force all these companies to bump up their rates. But artists don't do it. But they can. It could literally happen tomorrow if they wanted to. But
Agreed.
artists have to remember that artists from all industries, video games, movies, without us, there's nothing. There's no movies, there's no video games, there's no comic books. Without us, you got nothing. So people need to remember
that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, the next question is yours, Marcelo.
Okay, let me open it. Okay, so now, for example, sometimes the art community really sucks, and so can an artist be stubborn and stand up into it and be able to prove himself? Sometimes even our colleagues bring us down and stuff like that. So how you can endure this?
Hold on, real quick. Let me just hold on. Let me check something real quick. Okay. So basically, when you mean the art community sucks, like what do you mean? Like it could be really negative, or it could be very just hard in general. Like how do you keep going? Is that what you're asking?
I think so, right, Andrew? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's tough. Well, you know what? Okay, I think all industries are hard. I don't think it's just art community. I think there's tough times in you know in the police, tough times in sports, tough times in the restaurant business, tough times everywhere, right? I think everything is tough. Um, what I would recommend is to just have a good have a good group of friends that you can like the people that you can rely on with each other, like because if you have a couple of homies in the industry and you guys are like posting art, sharing artwork together, always talking, always making each other laugh, just basically keep up the positivity. You know, if you can have a little group of friends in your little industry that are going through the same things you're going through, I feel like you're able to make it. You're able to withstand all the negativity, withstand all the pressure, the disappointment, the rejection, all that stuff. So because you obviously can't do anything to fix it. You can't fix um, bad people in the industry. You can't fix when companies don't pay artists. You can't fix those things. Like there's nothing you can do. So the only thing you can do is just have a strong group of colleagues or art friends and just uh, work together and lift each other up. You know, push each other, promote, support each other, share each other's work. Um, mention them to your followers and vice versa, and like kind of like build your own little thing. And that's kind of how I think that that's the only way to make a good thing out of a bad thing. It's just to have your own little good community. And just because even when bad things happen, you still have your own little good community, and basically no one can take that away.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we got all our questions answered, right, Marcelo?
Yes, I think that's it. Yeah, very good and entertaining, interesting interview.
Well, it's for
Well, sorry for the technical difficulties. You know, it's I don't know, my phone sucks, but yeah, sorry.
it's fine. It's fine. We enjoyed this interview. We enjoyed talking to you and telling us your experience, telling us more about industry, more what's going on in the kitchen and other stuff about it. We enjoyed hearing all of this stuff. Well, thanks to you, man. Really.
Well, I appreciate the invite. I'm pleasure to talk to you guys. Just thank you for giving me the time, and I hope you and your listeners learn something new. You know, I don't know, because I know a lot of people like to sugarcoat some things, like to say some things about the industry, but I'm just talking from my experience. So get paid, draw how you want, and if you're not happy, find another career to draw in, and you'll be fine.
Well, it was fun indeed. So many thanks again, man, and goodbye.
Take care, man. Bye.